All right. Well, good morning and welcome, everyone. Before we officially get started, we will give everyone in the waiting room just a few moments to transition over to the session. I am so excited to be here today. As I mentioned, day two of the 2025 Within Health Summit. I have my friends and colleagues with me this morning that are going to have a wonderful conversation. Just a few housekeeping things before we get started. Just want to remind you all that your CEO dashboard is going to be your best friend. All of the schedules, all of the links, everything that you will need to navigate through today and the next couple of days of the Within Summit will be in your CEO dashboard. We are recording the sessions, so don't worry if you have to miss a little bit of something. You will be able to access your recording through the CEO dashboard. If you are obtaining CEs, it is very important that you know in order to receive full credit, you have to watch those presentations live. You cannot get credit if you go back and watch the recording, so you need to watch them live. If for any reason you need to switch devices or you have a technical issue, we will provide the customer service for CEO as well as my email address so that you can contact us. So without further ado, I am happy to turn it over to my friend and colleague, Michelle Worley, who is the VP of Business Development at Within Health. Take it away, Michelle.
Thanks, Jamie. And I'm glad you said my name because I did hair and makeup today, so people might not recognize me. I know, different person.
Did you
Usually
do it
I'm
for
here with
me?
Jamie with like a high bun and a t-shirt. So
Listen, you're beautiful however you show up, okay?
thank you, dear. And
You're
thank you so
welcome.
much for the intro. And Jason, thank you so much for coming here. I'm so happy to spend a little bit of time with you. Anytime I spend with you is always a blast. So thank you so much.
I couldn't think of a better way to start a day.
Perfect. I'm gonna read a little bio for you, if you don't mind. So, Jason Wood turned his battle with orthorexia into a mission to break the stigma around men's mental health by publishing his memoir, Starving for Survival. I bought it, it's on Amazon. He is proud to serve on the board for Running in Silence, Michigan Eating Disorder Alliance, and Soul Pause Recovery Project. Jason is also the Director of Community Engagement at ANAD and facilitates the organization's New Men's Peer Support Group. Through speaking engagements, his writing, and his work, Jason strives to start an important conversation that encourages everyone, especially men, to speak up, share their stories, and get the help that they deserve. So, thank you so much for everything you do.
Well, thank you. Thank you for such a wonderful introduction. And like I said, it's great to be here today to have these types of conversations. Right before this, I was talking to other people just about the stigma about talking about eating disorders. And it's just so refreshing to know that we're creating these spaces where we can have these conversations today and just be able to talk about things that I think for so long we're held in the dark.
Yeah, for sure. For those that are on here that tuned in that might not be familiar with ANAD, can you give just like a brief summary of what you all are?
Yeah, so I'll take a deep breath here before I say our full name because it's a long one. But we are the National Association for Anorexia Nervosa and Associated Disorders. We are the oldest nonprofit for eating disorders in the US. We were founded back in 1976. So next year we will be turning 50. So you can send all birthday presents my way. We're looking forward to celebrating that next year. But for the last 49 years, we've been providing free peer support to those individuals in need. All of our programs are run by volunteers who have lived experience with an eating disorder, and now they've come back to help support those who might be contemplating recovery or at the very beginning of their recovery journey. We've got a helpline, peer support groups, a peer mentorship program, a treatment directory, resources online to learn more about eating disorders, our student ambassador program, approach guides. There's a lot going on here at ANID, but at the end of the day, we are building a community. We look at ourselves more as a community than an organization because that's what it is. We're coming together to help each other heal and to support each other through challenging times.
Yeah. And I know that the heart of ANAD is your volunteers. I'd like to talk a little bit more about them. But before I do that, I wanted to share a communication that I had last night with a clinician that I know in the field. Um,
Ooh,
so I got permission from her to share this, but it was she reached out last night knowing that we were going to have this conversation today with you and I and talking about ANAD. So she shared with me, ANAD was where I started my own recovery journey and eventually became a group facilitator, which was what led me to make the choice to become a therapist. Needless to say, that organization literally changed my life, and they're so under-recognized as a resource. So I get like a little
gosh.
because I mean
Um,
you guys are amazing. So to hear those kind of real life stories of what you're changing is so powerful.
yeah. Session's over. I can't even go on from that. Like that is so cool to hear. That's amazing to hear. And it's one of the things that fuels me in the work that I do because after I was diagnosed, I needed a community. I needed ANID, but I didn't know about it. I hadn't heard about it. And then even when I did hear about it, I thought it was maybe just anorexia nervosa because of the name. And now in my current role, I'm like, I got to get out there and reach all those other Jasons, all those other people who maybe don't know about us yet, because it is such a tremendous resource. And I can only imagine the impact that it would have had on my recovery journey because I see it now, the impact that it's having on others. So every day I wake up and I'm like, let's tell some more people about ANID. Let's talk about this organization because it's changing lives.
Yeah. And how did you get connected with Anid when you first started?
Yeah, so when I first started sharing my story, I was reaching out to every organization out there because I was like, who even wants to hear my story in the first place? So I would reach out to every organization and just see if they had a blog or somewhere where I could share my story. And ANID was one of them. And again, I was a little hesitant because of the name. I was diagnosed with an unspecified eating disorder. We would later learn that it was orthorexia. And I was like, well, maybe they couldn't even help me in the first place. Maybe they couldn't support me. What I didn't realize is the name's just rooted in history, and that yeah, we treat all eating disorders. We support individuals with all eating disorders. So I kind of kept them on my radar. I was like, all right, this looks like a pretty cool organization. And then I saw an opportunity come up in the marketing and communication side of things, and that's where I've always been the most passionate. So I joined the organization in that capacity. And one thing led to another, and I found myself here now as director of community engagement, where I get to do everything. It's a lot of fun. I never do the same thing 2 days in a row, whether it's outreach or working with our community partners or starting up our student ambassador program. It's really cool to see how the last 3 years this role has grown, and so has the organization. We're serving more people now than ever before. So it was kind of just by chance. I guess I could thank the algorithm or Google or whoever it may be for first connecting me with Anid. And it's a place that I look forward to working every day. There is not one day that comes about and I'm like, oh, I got to go to work today. No, it's a really cool community to be a part of.
Yeah. And I love that I get to see you at conferences all the time. That's
Yeah.
like the highlight of my time when I see you.
Oh yeah, but they always make sure to never put us together at conferences because I think they know that would be a problem. So I've
Oh
always
yeah,
noticed
no,
that your
we would get in
table's
trouble.
across the room from ours. So yeah, we're probably the problem children at the conference, but
Yeah, but also I always find interesting when we go to conferences, you always end up driving because you're a storm chaser.
I am. I am.
Yeah.
So I love to go out and chase tornadoes and chase storms. It's something I've always been passionate about. I'm a super weather geek. I grew up while other kids might have been watching Nickelodeon. I was watching the Weather Channel. So yeah, I do a lot of storm chasing. And whenever I can combine a storm chase with an eating disorder conference, like that's the best of all.
Awesome, amazing. Yeah, living in New York, I feel like I should always reach out to you when I see like a hurricane brewing, be like, Jason, am I okay?
Well, you'll know I'll be coming out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Amazing. But to get back to the volunteers, can you share some of the volunteer opportunities that are out there for people that are might be interested?
Yeah, so at any given time, we have 250 to 300 volunteers, and it's really as many, the more volunteers we have, the more people we can help. And there's several different volunteer opportunities at ANAD. So the first one is with our helpline. We have the helpline that's Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Central Time, and we have volunteers who just answer calls, and it's kind of like giving somebody a warm hug. Like it is not a crisis line, it's not an emergency line, but it's just a support line where you can call and talk to someone if you're struggling, if you're having a tough time, if you're supporting a loved one. And those are kind of like the first line of defense, I guess you could say, is our helpline volunteers, because they're answering calls from a wide range of people across the country throughout the day. Then there's our support group leaders, and I'm very lucky that I get to be a support group leader as well. I launched our men's peer support group about a year and a half ago, which again, that was a space I needed at the start of my recovery. And peer support group leaders host maybe 1 to 2 groups a month, and it's all virtual, it's all done through Zoom. And then we've got our peer mentorship program, which again, that's also through Zoom. But in that case, you meet with one person for 6 months at a time. And it's just a really cool way to match a mentor and a mentee and establish a really deep relationship and a deep connection there. So those are like our three core volunteer opportunities: helpline, support groups, and mentorship. And then we've also, for students at the high school and college level, they can become student ambassadors and start to raise awareness at their high school, at their college, or within their community. And we found that it's just a great way for them to spark some conversations because we provide the peer support through our three main programs, but then we also provide like peer education through our ambassador program. So I could go to a school and talk about eating disorders, and they don't want to hear from me. But when they've got their peers there talking about it, students are much more receptive to it. So it's super cool to see our ambassadors out there having those conversations. And that's a relatively new volunteer opportunity that we've got, but it's been a really cool one to watch that program grow.
That's incredible. I loved hearing about the helpline because that's something that I wasn't aware about. And I know that at night, that's when things can like start to like, you're done with the
Yeah.
day at work and you're home, you might be alone. So it's such a great resource that if somebody's home and like that's when their mind is going, that they can just make that phone call and do that outreach.
Yeah, they can reach out to us anytime while we're open. And if it does happen after hours, if they leave a voicemail, we will give them a call back the next day as soon
Oh,
as we get back. So yeah, we try to make it as accessible as possible
wow.
to be able to reach out. And again, it's a great place if you are struggling, but if you're supporting someone who's struggling and maybe you just have questions, you don't know what to do, or you're just feeling really stressed out at that moment, give us a call. Everybody that answers has some sort of connection to the eating disorder community, whether that's lived experience themselves or they've supported a loved one.
Yeah, that's incredible. And to go off of that, how do you all train those volunteers to feel confident and comfortable in having those conversations?
So when I first started and decided that I was going to become a peer support group leader, I was terrified. I was like, I am not the type of person that could lead a peer support group. And I have to say, Anna's got the training down. We've got virtual modules that people can take. If I had to guess, I'd say maybe about 5 to 6 hours total worth of virtual training that you can do on your own. And then we do a live training session at the end where there's some role playing that happens. We can bring the whole cohort together so everybody can connect with others. And by the time you complete all those training modules and by the time you do the live training, you're ready to go. Like you're equipped for just about anything that could pop up. Because we start at the beginning. We explain a little bit about ANAD as an organization, and then we dive more into eating disorder specifics, and then we dive into topics such as how to be able to share your story responsibly and when to share it as a group leader or as a mentor or on the helpline. So it's just a really comprehensive training. And then the best part is the training doesn't stop there once volunteers onboard. They will have monthly check-ins with supervisors. So if they've run into a situation that they've maybe never encountered before, we're here to support them through that. We'll do regular trainings throughout the year too. We just did one on fat phobia for our volunteers, and we're always looking for new topics to explore to keep them aware of maybe some of the topics and some of the things that we need to be discussing in the community. So it's onboarding training and then ongoing training throughout the course of your volunteer work.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I would have to imagine you said how many volunteers you have now? 200 and
Between 250 and 300. Yeah.
wow. So that's a lot of training time that you guys are doing that.
It's a lot of training. That's where a lot of our resources go, is into our training program, spending time with everyone, because we want to make sure that they feel comfortable and that they feel confident before they answer that phone or before they sign on to Zoom for the first time. And
Mm.
like I said, I can personally attest to that. I was terrified when I started training, but through that training, I realized, hey, I can do this. Like I've just got to show up and be myself. And it's a really empowering training to go through.
Yeah, I just feel like, and especially anybody that works in the space, this is why I love being in the space. This is actually a second career for me. I just feel like I've never been in a space where everybody's so passionate about their work.
Mhm.
For you, and I'm thinking about getting 250 volunteers, they're taking the time out of their lives to, support these clients and go through training with you. And it's amazing. And you guys are actually looking for more, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. We'll be looking for more. We'll start our next. We do two training cohorts a year, so we'll usually do it in the spring and then in the fall. So our fall just kind of wrapped up, but we'll start recruiting for our spring cohort in November, December, so next month. But folks can go to our website now and fill out the interest form, and then as soon as applications open up, that we'll let them know and they can get involved. But so it's we're always looking for volunteers. We will never turn somebody away. We will try to get them in that next training cohort for sure. Because as we add more volunteers, we can have more peer support groups. As we have more volunteers, we can match more mentors. This fall alone, we have our biggest mentor cohort. We're up to 75 peer mentors.
Wow.
And that's because of the volunteers. That's because we have these people who are taking time out of their lives, 1 hour each week to be there to support somebody else. We're up to 19 peer support groups that meet every single week now. And again, that's only possible because we've got the volunteers to be able to lead those groups. So we are immensely grateful to the volunteers. Like you said at the beginning, they are the heart and soul of this organization.
Where could somebody find a list of those groups?
Yeah, so our groups are available at anad.org/groups. So yeah, you can go there. Our complete schedule is up. As we approach the holiday season, we'll have a lot of pop-up support groups as well, because we know that that can be a really difficult and challenging time. So in addition to our weekly support groups, we'll do special support groups around the holidays as well.
Oh, amazing. And then with the volunteers, what kind of impact have you seen them make on like not only like individuals and family, but like the broader like eating disorder community?
Yeah, they're changing it. They're changing it. When ANAD was first founded, we were considered pretty radical. It was considered very risky to be able to have individuals who are in recovery talking to each other and talking about eating disorders. But we found over the years that that's where healing happens. So
Mhm.
we're really bringing, our volunteers are bringing peer support into the healing process, into the recovery process. And as we were getting ready for our conversation, today, I came across one of the testimonials that I received, and I just wanted to share it with everyone because I think it really speaks to the impact that our volunteers are having on the community. So it's from one of our support group attendees. Just finished my first pop-up support group. This is extremely beneficial, and I am in awe of the resilience that the members show. I really needed to see that. Thank you for the chance, and please do more soon. I appreciated the facilitators as well. We were strangers, but somehow made connections in a world where we are so often overwhelmed and overlooked. Tonight, I felt seen and recognized. It was amazing. To me, that just sums up exactly what our peer support volunteers are doing. They're helping people feel seen, feel heard for possibly the first time in a very long time. And it's super cool to see the impact that they're making. I like to refer to them as heroes. They're like superheroes. And they might think that all they're doing is answering a phone call or signing into a Zoom meeting, but they are really changing lives by showing up and giving people the space they need to heal.
Yeah, and I think it just goes to show how important group work is because it can feel so isolating. So connecting with people that are maybe going through a similar situation and you don't feel alone, you're like, well, oh, I feel like that too. So glad to connect. So that's really great.
Yeah, it's really cool. And one of the things I had the opportunity last year to sit down and talk with a peer mentor mentee pair who had worked together for 6 months. And I brought them together for probably the first time in like a year because after their mentorship ended, like they go their separate ways and stuff. But I brought them together to have a conversation to talk about what it meant to both of them. And it was really cool to see the experience because the mentor came in thinking they were going to support the mentee, but they came away with healing too. For
Mhm.
them to be able to establish that connection with the mentee was healing in their own lives. And then for the mentee too, they felt seen, they felt heard, all of those things that I echoed in that other testimonial. And those are really cool because those are like the one-on-one personal connections that are happening that are just like magic. I guess you could say they're mentorship magic.
Mhm. Somebody has a question in the chat. How can someone become a supervisor to volunteers?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And the best way to do that is to go through our volunteer training. So to submit the interest form at anad.org/volunteer for whichever program you might be interested in. And then once you go through training, that's when we start to identify the supervisors and the team leads and stuff. So then you could get involved in that capacity. So definitely submit an interest form through anad.org/volunteer and we'll connect you.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And can you give an example of like a volunteer's compassion that like truly changed somebody's recovery journey?
Yeah. Yeah. So I can think of several instances just in our men's peer support group alone. To me, that was a space that was so needed because when I was reaching out, there were no men's groups out there. There was nothing like that. So I felt really alone. I felt really isolated. And by being able to start our men's peer support group, I've heard from several guys who have been like, this is the first time that somebody actually got it. Somebody could understand that stigma I was facing. Somebody could understand every single thing I was going through. And it's simply because every time I show up at that peer support group, I show myself, I show my compassion. I don't hide anything. I don't come in saying I've got like a professional degree up on the wall or anything like that. I'm just somebody that's got lived experience with an eating disorder, and I'm here to help you now. And it's just in those moments that we establish some sort of connection, some sort of relationship that I can't even really explain. It's just powerful because, again, it's healing for me to be able to show up for them. And then they come away feeling empowered too. And now that we've had the men's peer support group for about a year and a half, I'm starting to see some of those same guys come back and volunteer their time with the organization. And it's super cool to see that kind of compassion train, I guess you could say, where I created space for them and now they're going to create space for other people. And I see that play out time and time again. We've got several of our student ambassadors this year who were previous support group attendees, and now they want to give back and raise awareness at their schools. And it's super cool when you can see just how giving somebody else compassion inspires them to give compassion to others.
Yeah, and I have to imagine you probably have such a broad range of like eclectic mix of volunteers, like age, different histories of diagnoses and, BIPOC, gender, like everything, right?
Yeah, yeah. I was just telling somebody about this the other day, but when I came into ANAD, the only experience I knew was my own. I knew what it was like to have an eating disorder for Jason, but I didn't really understand how complex it is and how different everybody's experiences and journeys are with an eating disorder. through conversations at ANAD, through working with these volunteers, I'm learning so many new perspectives and so many new experiences that's helping me just become a better person in general, but also become more knowledgeable on eating disorders and about the complexity of the condition. And yeah, we rely on the diversity of our volunteers to be able to make those connections. We've got several focused support groups, such as a BIPOC support group. We've got an LGBTQ plus support group. We've got a support group for older adults. And that's one area too that we're always in need for. So if you're identify as an older adult and want to get involved, we could definitely use your help because that's one area where we see a lot of need for peer support, whether it's through our groups or through our mentorship program. So we have a wide range of people and they come from all different backgrounds and experiences, and it makes us stronger as a community.
Yeah. Jason, I also feel like you looked through my soul when you said older adult. So was that? I mean, it's true.
Hey, I said if you identify as an older adult, so
I mean,
no.
yeah, I think I need to come to terms with that. Oh, that's amazing. And then for those volunteers, because I'm sure after this conversation, you're going to hear from some people that have listened to this that are interested. If somebody feels maybe like not ready or they're like unsure if they're like qualified, do you have any advice for them?
Yeah, yeah, take my story. Take my story to heart. I did not think I was qualified. I did not think I was ready that I could do this. And I'm so glad that I took the chance because it took me out of my comfort zone, but it allowed me to grow. It allowed me to heal. We do require that all individuals who start to lead our groups or become a peer mentor or on the helpline have 2 years of established recovery under their belt.
Mhm.
Now, recovery means something different for everyone. So that definition definitely varies. There's no like hard set definition of recovery, but we just ask that they're at a safe place for themselves. And if you're not there yet, there are other ways to get involved, perhaps as an ambassador, as a student ambassador. So there's always opportunities to get involved. And I think being able to help other people while you're in recovery is beneficial to yourself. I
Absolutely.
know it was for me. Like when I first started sharing my story, I was only a year or so into recovery. But just by getting out there and having those conversations and building community, I continued that healing process. So I would say don't ever think you're not ready or it's too soon. If you've got that passion, if you've got that drive to start helping other people or just start sharing your story or to get involved, we'll find a way to make it happen. It might not necessarily be with our peer support groups quite yet till we hit that 2 year mark, but there's always ways to get involved because I think it is so healing when we start to come together in community and support each other.
Hmm. And how can they make that inquiry with you?
Yeah, so reach out to our Hello account. You can reach out to me directly too at jason.wood@anna.org. Um, I love volunteers. Like I will always find something for somebody to do to get involved because again, it to me it is so important that if you feel that motivation, if you feel that desire to get involved, I'm going to make it happen. I will find a way for you to help.
Amazing. And then how can current or potential volunteers best support ANAD's mission of inclusivity? So reducing that stigma and bridging those gaps in care.
Always be listening. And I would give that advice to anybody out there, whether you're a provider, whether you're a volunteer, whether you're just average Joe on the street. Like, always be listening to the experiences and the stories around you. In my role as director of community engagement, I do more listening than I do talking. Believe it or not, I know I'm doing a lot of talking today, but I'm always listening to other people's experiences and learning from those. And I think that's the best way that we can champion diversity and inclusion as a community. To always be questioning too. I think what are we saying? How is our messaging getting across? How am I leading a group? How am I answering a phone call? Am I being open to their experiences or do I have internal biases? And being able to check those kind of at the door and just keep that mind open and always be learning, always be listening. To me, that's the best way that we can pursue those kind of the core values of ANAD and make sure that we're building a community that's safe and inclusive for everybody.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, especially you all, like, we've done so much hard work to get to those communities that have been really underserved. And I think that we're getting there, but thank you for everything you do. And I would love to chat a little bit more about you.
Mhm.
And I know that we've talked a lot about you professionally, but I would love for you to share with everybody listening about your home and your flower garden. And I just find it fascinating.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, my husband has a flower farm here at our house. We live in the country in Michigan, so we've got several acres, and he's turned it into a flower farm out there. And for the last 2 or 3 months, it's been absolutely beautiful. There's just, fresh flowers, new flowers coming up every day. And to me, I can always tie it back to my recovery journey because I just think of like how in the spring all we're doing is piling dirt and stuff on top of these seeds. And then, throughout the course of the summer they grow. But it takes time and it takes patience and it's a very fragile, delicate process. And it kind of relates back to my own eating disorder recovery journey. So when I look out the window and I see our flower farm out there, it's always a reminder of staying the course and being patient and realizing that sometimes from the muddiest and dirtiest of situations, something beautiful can arise. So to me, it definitely has double meaning to go out there and spend some time in the flower garden.
It's amazing. And I do promise you the next time I come to Mission, I am coming to visit that flower farm.
Yes, please come out. If anybody's ever going to be in the Michigan area, come on out. It's beautiful out here. We've got like maybe 2 more weeks before everything gets cut down for the winter because, here in Michigan, we'll probably have snow in the next 2 weeks, but definitely
Absolutely.
if you're ever in the area, come on out.
Oh gosh, yeah, I'm in New York, so we don't get as much snow, but it gets pretty cold here.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I also wanted to leave some time for any event notifications, like anything coming up that you want to share that Anna's hosting.
Yeah, so we have a really cool event coming up. Well, actually, we have several events coming up on Friday. This Friday, we're hosting an event called Home to Healing, and it's going to be with some of our peer support group leaders, our caregivers, and siblings. And we're going to be talking about the roles that parents played in recovery journey. So that is just a really cool kind of volunteer-led event that we're looking forward to hosting and just kind of talking about the importance of having a loved one there to support you along the way and how frustrating it can probably be sometimes for a loved one. So that's a really cool virtual event that you can register for and attend. And then
Mhm.
in 2 weeks, we're having Recovery Night at Northwestern University, where we've invited several students to talk about their own eating disorder recovery journeys and their mental health recovery journeys. And it's just going to be a very casual panel where we kind of sit back and we talk about some of these things that for so long have been hidden in stigma. And again, that's a in-person and virtual event. So if you're in the Chicago area, definitely swing on up to Northwestern. It's going to be a powerful conversation. Or if you're online, you can register and watch the Zoom. So we try to make all of these events as accessible as possible. And really looking forward to hosting both because, again, it all goes back to kind of that lived experience, which is at the center of what we do at ANIT.
Yeah. And then as far as any sponsorship opportunities for other organizations?
Yeah, all of our events, we're always looking for sponsorship opportunities. So if anybody ever wants to get involved, we are in the process of planning for our Eating Disorder Awareness Week content again for next year. We'll be bringing back our Day of Conversation, which is 12 hours of streaming conversation around eating disorders, where we cover a plethora of topics. Usually each hour has its own segment, its own topic that we'll cover, and we're always looking for partners to come and join us for that. It streams through our website, streams through all of our social media channels, and last year alone, it reached over 5,000 individuals. So just a really, really cool day to break through the stigma, break through those stereotypes around eating disorders.
Yeah, amazing. Within has been a proud sponsor of you guys, and I feel like I'm just so appreciative of everything you do. So thank you so much. And I would also like to open it up if anybody has any questions before Jamie hops on here and cuts us off. So, oh, there she is. She's the,
Hey,
she's
Jamie.
the conference queen.
I'm here. I am here. I am not here to cut you off, but I am here just to provide some support and insight. The chat has been filled with just a lot of positivity. If you could just one more time, Jason, just share how people can reach you and the website, I think that would be very helpful.
Yeah, so our website is anad.org, ANAD.org. We've got a lot of information on there. We spent a lot of time building that out. So it's got all of our volunteer opportunities on there. It's got all of our peer support offerings on there, and it's got just a lot of educational resources as well. And then if anybody needs to get a hold of me, my email is jason.wood@anad.org. I'll put it in the chat here as well. Definitely feel free to reach out to me. I love getting emails. I know some people are like, oh, I got to the office and there's like 100 emails. I love that because that means people are reaching out and having these conversations. So please email me after this. It would be great to hear from you.
Amazing.
This is wonderful. Thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you so much, Jason, for a very insightful conversation. And to all of our attendees out there, we are so happy that you all are with us and we appreciate your support. We appreciate your participation. And so, with that being said, we are going to take a small break and we will reconvene at 11 o'clock, where we are going to be getting into perimenopause and eating disorders, unveiling the hidden connection. And we're going to be talking about MCAS today as well, along with grief. So we have a jam-packed day full of information, full of CE opportunities, and we cannot wait to see you all in those sessions. Thank you again for joining us, Jason, and I will see the rest of you in just a few moments.
Bye, all.
Bye.